Hello! How are you all? Happy Wednesday. Hope you're all having a lovely day so far. I'm just trying to get the old video up on... Oh, look at that background picture. Oh, shush now. Now, I can't see your comments for the moment until we announce... until it's been announced, until I go and find out what the the shortlist is, just so that you can get the real live reaction to the shortlist. So I won't keep you all not able to talk to me for a while, because I've covered up your comments on my camera, and I've covered them up on my computer as well. So what I thought I would do just before I went and found the shortlist is just run through for you guys what I'm hoping will be on the shortlist, what I've read, what I've enjoyed, what I haven't read, and then on my Instagram last week, I asked you guys what would be if you could pick one that you wanted to see on the list, or what you'd read from the list and was your favourite, and I've got the results from that as well. So if we can sort of if I can go by your predictions, we can create what we think might be on the shortlist from that, and then we'll actually find out what's on the shortlist. So yeah, I've avoided the socials all day. I'm feeling very pleased with myself. But yeah, let's work through. So I have read 11 of the 16. I didn't realise I'd read that many. I'm really pleased with myself. I always try to read all of the long list. Last year, I'd managed to read all but one, which was Unsettled Ground, which ended up being on the shortlist, so I read it. I started it that day. So there's 5 which I haven't read. So unless I've been very, very unlucky, there's 5 that I haven't read. So unless it's all of those 5 plus 1, yeah, we'll see how it goes. The 5 I haven't read are Careless, which I have here. Haven't read Careless yet. I haven't read Creatures of Passage, which I also have here. I haven't read The Paper Palace. I've got a reservation on the library. That hasn't come in yet. That's the reason I haven't read it. I haven't read Salt Lick, which I have here. And I haven't read... That's it. Oh, Sorrow and Bliss. I haven't read Sorrow and Bliss. There's a reservation on that at the library as well. So those are the 5 that I haven't read. I'll just briefly run through and do sort of quick thoughts on the ones that I have read. I hope everyone's able to watch, because I can't see your comments, so I don't know what people are saying. So Great Circle. As a general thought, just of the whole long list, I was a bit disappointed, isn't disappointed, underwhelmed, I would say. I've only loved one book from the list that I've read. Out of the 11 that I've read, I've only loved one. I've liked 2, and I'm halfway through, a third of the way through, over a third of the way through another, which I'm liking, but again, haven't loved. And the rest I've been a bit meh, and 2 I've hated. So let's start. So the one that I've loved is Great Circle. Got that out from the library, don't have it here with me. Really, really, really enjoyed it. Loved the 2 timelines. I've just realised I haven't spoken about this even in a wrap-up yet, because I haven't done my wrap-up for the month yet. And loved the 2 timelines, loved what it was doing, telling a story of a woman flying the Arctic Circle and her journey up until that point, plus they're making a film of her in the current day. Loved that timeline too. Loved it. Just really, really loved it. Couldn't put it down. Tiny little font, massive book. Never wanted it to end. Build Your House Around My Body was one of the 2 that I had read before the long list came out. Very much enjoyed this. Spoopy, sort of contortionists and body acrobatics that I'm not familiar with, and snakes and magic and sort of ghosty and ghouly and presences and things like that, all centred around the backdrop of 2 women going missing, Vietnamese women going missing. Enjoyed that as well. That's one that I liked, didn't love, liked. I've read The Island of Missing Trees. We read it for Patreon book club. This is one that I hated. Really, really hated this. I thought it was overwritten. There's parts in it which I was just rolling my eyes at. Didn't think much of the plot. Thought the character development was terrible. It's following 2 teenagers who fall in love in Turkey in the 1970s, and they're you're just supposed to believe this romance when they speak to each other like they're bloody work colleagues who've met twice, and then you're following a modern day timeline of their daughter, who is just sort of like, in order to be depicted as teenager, she's just like a sulky bitch. So I just thought that was terrible. The metaphors in here, it's just metaphor upon metaphor upon metaphor. I shared my favourite metaphor, my favourite worst metaphor on Instagram. And yeah, it's just, yeah, I hated this. And I know I'm a minority. So many people love this. Like, this, we'll be talking about it later. But when I asked you guys what you think is going to win, what do you think is going to be on the shortlist, the majority of the votes came for this book. So yeah, there we go. I've also read The Bread the Devil Need. This was one I enjoyed, but to be honest, it's escaping my memory what it was about. About a woman. Oh right, she's going to tell, yeah, Alethea, who is in a relationship, an abusive relationship, and she sees somebody gets murdered in the street by a clothes shop that she works in, and she thinks, well, that could be me. Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. Flamingo, I didn't really like either. I felt like it could have done with a really good edit, and then I also thought that in terms of the flamingo aspect of it, the title of it, I feel like they wanted something sort of eye-catching and sort of maybe of the moment, although I think flamingos might be a bit dated. What's in now? Llamas? They put that on the front cover, and the flamingo was really like crowbarred in there. I didn't like it at all. The Book of Form and Emptiness, oh, where's that? Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was one of the first ones I read, because I had that out from, I had a reservation on at the library to collect. And I enjoyed this. While I was reading it, I really enjoyed it, but the more time I'm spending away from it, I think when I finished it, if I was doing star ratings, I would have gone for a 4-star, but now I'm thinking it's more of a 3-star for me. The Sentence I found fine, which is about a woman who gets imprisoned for a crime that she doesn't know she's committing, and then on her release starts working in a bookshop. I didn't expect it to be as sort of current as it is, and also the blurb talks very heavily about a ghostly presence in the bookshop that she's working, and I don't feel like that, not that that's what I was looking for, but I was surprised that that was featured so heavily when I don't think it, in the blurb, when it doesn't really reflect in the book. It was fine. Remote Sympathy is the one that I'm actually reading at the moment and enjoying. I'm just over a third of the way through. I was surprised about this because if we were going by Women's Prize for Fiction front cover winner, this would be last. I find it very dull and boring. But we're following a woman called Greta, who has moved with her husband to a sort of purpose-built, beautiful road of villas, which are, and their husbands, the women that live in these houses, and their husbands work in a concentration camp as administrators in a concentration camp, similar to that of Auschwitz, and you're following her. I think it's quite clever the way it's unfolding. I guess I can talk about this more because I'm reading it at the moment. The way it's unfolding, when you meet Greta, you think that she's not she's against being there and having a Jewish person as their staff in their house, and being told, oh, do you want new curtains? We can get the prisoners to knock you up a pair of curtains by lunchtime. We've got all the best of the people in the country here in this prison camp. We've got so many great minds in this prison camp. We can get you whatever you want. And to begin with, you think that she's against it because she sees the injustice in it all, but then as it unfurls, you sort of realise that it's not. She's just frightened of the Jewish people, and I think that's really clever the way that's unfurled. And then you're also following somebody called Dr. Weber, who is a German doctor and has invented a machine called the remote sympathizer, which has been proven to eradicate cancer in plants, and he wants to test it on animals and he wants to test it on humans, and then their paths cross later on. Their paths are about to cross, but I've been enjoying that a lot. And I always I never read books set in the war or that have anything to do with the Holocaust, because I'm always so concerned that the people that are writing these books, there's so many of those books, aren't there? Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, the Something of Something, the Hairdresser of Auschwitz, like there's just, I can just see like masses of them, and a lot of people don't have sort of like, haven't done the research for these books. But yeah, I've been enjoying this so far. This one, Sky Day, I read last year. No, I didn't. I read it earlier this year. I started reading it last year and then I didn't finish it. And then listened to the audiobook this year. I thought I was going to love this. I thought this was on my 5-star predictions video. I thought it was going to be one of my the best books that I'd read last year when I picked it up and read everything about it. But I just found it bizarre, like too bizarre. Halfway through the book, everyone's vagina falls out. And it's just, and yeah, it's all, yeah, I didn't love it at all. I didn't like it at all. And then the final revival of Opal and Nev I listened to on audiobook, and I didn't like that either. I found it very dreary. I found it quite hard to follow, which I thought was I didn't think I would feel like that. It's about sort of soul rock duo, Nev, who's white and British, and Opal, who's from the south of America and is black, and them two coming together, and the sort of host of characters around them. Been compared a lot to Daisy Jones in the Six, and if I'm going to compare it to it, like it's very much like that in its performance, because I've also listened to the audiobook of Daisy Jones in the Six, but I was bored by it, to be honest. And then The Exhibitionist, which I hated as well. I hated the characters in it, and that doesn't always make me hate a book, but I really, really hated it, and I loathed going back to it because I hated everybody so much. So those are my thoughts. I'll just talk briefly about what you guys thought was going to be on the long list, on the short. Oh no, let me tell you what I think would be on the short list. So if and as I said, I've been sort of underwhelmed by the whole thing. I would love for Great Circle to be there. I would love for Build Your House Around My Body to be there. I would like for Remote Sympathy to be there, both based on this, what I've read so far. See, those are the only three that I've. As I said, The Bread the Devil Need, I lost a lot of it. The Book of Form and Emptiness, let's say that because that's one that I've read and enjoyed. I'd sort of like Careless to be in there. I'm intrigued by Careless because so many people seem to have enjoyed it. And when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, I don't know if that's for me, but I'm intrigued by Careless, so Careless as well. And then what was the last one? I guess let's pick one I haven't read that I'd like to read. Maybe The Paper Palace. People seem quite into The Paper Palace as well. So Great Circle, Build Your House Around My Body, Careless, The Paper Palace, Remote Sympathy, and The Book of Form and Emptiness. Those are the ones I would probably want to see on there. And then when I asked you guys on Instagram for your votes, one book received no votes, and that was The Exhibitionist. Then a number of books received one vote. The Final Revival of Opal and Nev, this one, Sky Day, Salt Lick, Remote Sympathy, and Flamingo. A few books received 2 votes, Creatures of Passage, The Bread the Devil Need. Book of Form and Emptiness got 3 votes. And then we're into, and Build Your House Around My Body got 5 votes. And then we're into the top 6. So in 6th place was The Sentence with 8 votes. In joint 4th place was The Paper Palace and Careless. As I said, Careless got a lot of votes with 12 votes. And then in joint 2nd place was Great Circle and Sorrow and Bliss with 23 votes. And then in 1st place was The Island of Missing Trees with 28 votes. So yeah, I was surprised to see that up there when... Well, I wasn't surprised at the time because I hadn't started it and I knew it was sort of beloved by everyone. So yeah, right, shall I have a look at it now? Oh, by the way, I've got a Oatly chocolate milk in a gin glass. Very nice. Right, okay, let's have a look then. Women's Prize for Fiction Shortlist 2022. Oh my God, we've, like, it's almost, yeah, let me get on the website. We almost did it. We almost did the whole thing. So the shortlist is, I've read all but one of them. The Bread the Devil Need, The Island of Missing Trees, Sorrow and Bliss, The Book of Form and Emptiness, Great Circle, and The Sentence. I can release you all from your comments now. So let me just have a look. Great Circle, delighted about that. The Island of Missing Trees, less than delighted about that. Sorrow and Bliss I haven't read and I've got a reservation on. I might even get that out on audio. The Book of Form and Emptiness, Great Circle, as I said, The Bread the Devil Need, and The Sentence. So there we go. Right, let's have a look and see what people are saying. Hi everyone, I can see your comments now. Thank you. Right, she's just talking about the ones on the long list that she'd read. Right, okay, so here we go then. So, the ones that have made it are Great Circle, The Island of Missing Trees, Sorrow and Bliss, The Bread the Devil Need, The Book of Form and Emptiness, and The Sentence. So I've read 5 of those. I haven't read Sorrow and Bliss. That's the only one I haven't read. Great Circle, as you'll know, I loved. It's the only book on the shortlist that I loved. The Island of Missing Trees, a complete opposite. I hated this book. Sorrow and Bliss, haven't read. The Bread the Devil Need, like I said, I enjoyed it at the time, but I'm finding it hard to recall the plot. The Book of Form and Emptiness, like I said, enjoyed it at the time. Would have given it 4 stars at the time, but it's probably dropped down to a 3. And then The Sentence was a book that I expected to be maybe a little bit more about ghosts and stuff than it was, just based on the blurb. Didn't hate it. Enjoyed it definitely more than The Island of Missing Trees. So there. What do people think? So we've got Charlie Brooks saying favourite by far is Great Circle. Mirtha saying I'm halfway through Sorrow and Bliss and I'm enjoying it, but it's not so mind-blowingly good that I would have expected it on the shortlist. Jellicle says I didn't enjoy Sorrow and Bliss until 66%, then it was amazing. Thank goodness One Sky Day wasn't on the shortlist, says Chocky Cake. Kate says I'm reading Great Circle soon. Mirtha's saying, oh, that's promising about Sorrow and Bliss. Chocky Cake's got 3 to read, so there we go. So yeah, how do you feel about the shortlist? Are there any on there that you're surprised to see? Any that you're disappointed haven't made the shortlist? I can't say I'm surprised by any of those. I think they're all quite big hitters, aren't they? I'm pleased The Bread the Devil Need is on there in terms of like it's published by a small press. What is the name of the small press? Myriad. So that's pleasing that that's on there. As you'll know, I didn't like The Island of Missing Trees, so I'm disappointed that that's on there, but I'm not surprised. Like I said, everybody loved it. We did quite well to predict, yeah. Did quite well to predict it. In terms of like the vote type of thing, I'm surprised Paper Palace isn't on there. I thought Paper Palace would be on there. Let's have a look. I'm one of the few people who loved Opal and Nev. So pleased you loved it, fully booked. Jade said, picked Great Circle at random. Absolutely loved it. Don't think I'll read the rest. Jamie says, Great Circle is my favourite on the shortlist. I was hoping to see Paper Palace on the shortlist. I think maybe I was expecting it to see it there. Tom Reed's thing says, I can't get on with Elif Shafak's writing style. I haven't read anything else by her, but I won't because I dislike that book so much. I've got Sorrow and Bliss to pick up from the library too. Yeah, I've got a reservation on it. I'm number 1 in the queue, but I've been number 1 in the queue for ages. But I'll definitely have time to read it before the winner's announced. I have to say I'm really disappointed in the shortlist and long list overall compared to previous years. Millie, I feel the same. I think disappointed. I was underwhelmed. Once I started reading it, when I was reading the blurbs, I was thinking, oh my God, that sounds really good, that sounds really good. But the more I've sort of like got into it, I've thought, like I said, there's only been 1 that I've loved and 2 that I've liked. So let's have a look. Fully Booked said, I'm not surprised by The Sentence, but I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's fine, but probably overhyped. Homegrown Education said, read all the books on the long list. I only liked Sorrow and Bliss and Careless, but didn't love them. Underwhelmed by all the books this year, to be honest. I can't wait to read Great Circle. Surprised I've already read 3 of them. Catherine says, disappointed Careless didn't make it. Yeah, so I will probably still read Careless just because it's intrigued me the most. I'm disappointed that Creatures of Passage wasn't on there. Don't think many have read it. Yeah, it only got to, when I asked people on Instagram if it was what was their favourite, it only got 2 votes for Creatures of Passage. Creatures of Passage and Careless are probably 2 that I will still read from the shortlist, even though from the long list, even though they didn't make the shortlist. I don't think I'll bother with Salt Lick, just based on other people's reviews who have similar reading taste to me. I don't think I'll bother with that. But yeah, and then I'll try and read Sorrow and Bliss as well. Michelle also says, I'm sad Careless didn't make it. I still think Still Life should have been on the list. Yeah, it didn't even make the long list, did it? Belle said, I'm surprised that Creatures of Passage and Build Your House aren't on there. Heard so many good things about those. Jellicle says, I'm in the middle of The Sentence of the Book of Form and Emptiness and really like them so far. Sorrow and Bliss is my favourite of those I've read so far, says Kristin. And Catherine says, I DNF'd Sorrow and Bliss last year. Maybe I need to give it another chance. Kristin says, I'm so glad someone else disliked The Island of Missing Trees. I just cannot understand the hype. Jamie says, if on hold at library for Sorrow and Bliss, they might be awaiting paperback as that isn't out until tomorrow, I believe. Oh, maybe. May says, spot on, that's the problem with all the books on the list. We've come to expect so much. When it's not mind-blowing, you get disappointed. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case for me, because I don't always need to love sort of mind-blowing books. Like definitely for me, Remote Sympathy isn't mind-blowing, but I'm not enjoying it. There's things in the books that I've read that I haven't enjoyed, and it's not because I felt well, I guess I used the word underwhelmed, so potentially. Also disappointed that The Paper Palace didn't make it. Currently reading Great Circle and loving it, but it could be shorter. Yeah, I didn't mind that at all about it. I liked that it was very long and that I could keep sort of diving back into those narratives. I loved it so much. Should we have another bit of this? Why not? Belle said, I've had a reserve on Sorrow and Bliss since the long list was announced, and I'm still 12th in the queue. I've just got Salt Lick, but I think I'll return it without reading now. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to read Salt Lick. I'm only disappointed that Build Your House Around My Body isn't on there, says Kristen Potts. So yeah, there we go. So let's hear it again. Great Circle, The Island of Missing Trees, Sorrow and Bliss, The Bread the Devil Need, The Paper... Oh, no. Great Circle, The Island of Missing Trees, Sorrow and Bliss, The Bread the Devil Need, The Book of Form and Emptiness, and The Sentence. Interesting. Interesting. I would like The Great Circle to win. I'm concerned that The Island of Missing Trees is going to win. I'm so surprised. Well, yeah. I guess I'm just surprised that it's as popular as it is. I guess that's how I feel about it. Creatures of Passage sounds amazing, but I'm not surprised that it's not on the shortlist. Jellicle says, you will see what it's doing about 2/3 of the way through, which is a lot of commitment for something you don't like, but I'm glad I stuck with it now. I think that's about Sorrow and Bliss. Yeah, Sorrow and Bliss is read, the audio is read by Amelia Fox, which I was thinking I might give a go. But I'll see if my library reservation comes in soon. Belle says, I don't feel like the long list and short list are as strong as last year. I wasn't as eager to read them this year. Rosie said, I loved Great Circle and Sorrow and Bliss. Really surprised Paper Palace didn't make it on there. Yeah, I think I'm surprised that as well. A few people have said that they're surprised that hasn't made it. So yeah, there we go. So the short list. So who out of you guys is planning to read the whole short list? How many have you read? What do you think will win? Any early predictions of what you think might win? I'd love for Great Circle to win. I think The Island of Missing Trees is going to win. I think that's what's going to win. With The Island of Missing Trees, I really struggled to read it and then started liking it about halfway. But I agree with the issues on the writing of Ada. Just so unrealistic and rude. Yeah, I think so. No audio version for The Bread the Devil Need. Oh, that might be because it's from a small press. I mean, maybe that's something that might happen now that they're on the shortlist. And I think it's to do with like budgeting and stuff like that. So maybe that will happen eventually. But yeah, maybe that might be why. So I actually had, Great Circle, Bread the Devil. Yeah, I'm just processing it, guys. Alison says, I wasn't trying to read the shortlist, but I've read the shortlist, but I've read 2 already, Ozeki and Sorrow and Bliss. Kate says, hope so about the audio for Bread the Devil Need. Yeah, I think so. Charlie says, I just keep remembering your slab of meat or something like that quote from Trees. Yeah, there was so many moments like that. There was a moment where these 2 teenagers who are falling in love in 1970s have met back up again. And what the lad from the team, the man in these 2 people that are supposedly in love, gets the absolute shit kicked out of him. And the woman says, the bruises bring out your eyes. I was just like, oh God. And they made her really she made her really unlikable as well. I've read 3 so far. Hopefully I'll get to all of them in time for the winner announcement. I think it'll be between Great Circle and Trees. Yeah, I think so too. Felicia says, I'm going to try and read them all, but can't find The Bread the Devil Need here in the US, and the Book of Form and Emptiness has a huge waiting list. Jellicle says, I wasn't going to read The Great Circle because it was huge, but maybe. I do think it's worth it. Like I said, it's the only one on the list that I've loved. Have you liked reading perspectives from other non-human characters? I didn't in The Island of Missing Trees. I found the fig tree very sort of pious and sort of above it all, and like turning its nose up at things, its tree nose. Mm-hmm. But I don't mind it in other books. I quite liked it in The Book of Form and Emptiness. hearing from the book's perspective and stuff like that. So that's not something I dislike. That's strange that there's 2 books, isn't there, on this list where it's got... I'm just having a look to see if there's any other perspectives. That there's 2 books on here which have got perspectives from inanimate objects. I think The Sentence has perspective from inanimate objects as well. Does that have perspectives from a book? I think it does, doesn't it? Great Circle doesn't. Sorrow and Bliss I haven't read, and The Bread the Devil Need hasn't. So yeah, half of the books on this list have a perspective from inanimate objects. The audiobook for Great Circle is really good. Oh, that's good to hear. I would definitely revisit Great Circle, probably by audiobook. What happens is when I love a book so much, normally the year after I'll revisit it by audio, so I'll probably get around to that next year. Very much enjoyed that. And Alison's laughing at me saying, tree nose. The island of missing tree noses. I agree, Jamie, says Charlie, about the audiobook. And Kate's happy to hear that the audiobook's so good. S. Stafford says, struggling to get into the island of missing trees. Yeah. But that was, like I said, when I asked you guys what was your favourite book from the long list, the most votes was The Island of Missing Trees. And when we did book club, it was our Patreon book club read, it got, like, a lot of people really enjoyed it. Loads of 5 stars. Like, there was a few, in fact I can tell you. 3 people gave it 1 star, one of them being me. But otherwise we're like 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 4, 3.5, 4, 4, 5, 5, 4, 2, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5. Hi, people loved it. People absolutely loved it. So there we go. Well, I think I'll leave you to get on with your evening, guys. I'm going to go now get in the bath. I've still got really bad period pains. But thanks for hanging around to look at the long list with me. If you waited until this moment, I hope you've enjoyed my reaction. And yeah, happy reading. And I'll see you all tomorrow on my BookTube channel for my reading wrap up. And I'll see you all soon. Bye!